think I am. Yes, I am recording, I think. So we'll get started. And I believe I'm sharing my screen here. Feel free to jump in at any time. You know, there's a small group of us here. I see about 6 or so. And so we may see some other people join in, but feel free to interrupt me. I think we have about 35 minutes for this session. Thank you for joining the CY2 Education Innovation Sessions Conference. This is very exciting, and we're really very pleased to have a chance to present to everyone. And I hope everyone's having a good day. I'm going to start into a couple of slides, but we want to really make this a demo. We're going to show our tools, go into our PeopleSoft environment, and show them in action. My name is Paul Reinhardt, and I am with the SmartPanda Tools Corporation. And as you can see, we are in session 2 here. Our title is Opening Doors, Tools to Streamline Transcripts and Transfer. And we give some background of why we're even talking about transfer credit. There's a lot of reasons to talk about transfer credit. In our little blurb here, we talk about how, if anything, the current situation with the coronavirus and the economy, we're going to see probably a surge in mobility of students. This was already happening. The surge in mobility of students was already happening before this situation. So we're seeing schools that need to process more students through admissions and through matriculation and granting them credit, accepting their transcripts and granting them credit. And so we recognized, we started our company about 3 years ago. And from the start of it, we recognized the need to provide better tools to automate these processes. I'm going to go through a couple of slides here. So the first slide here, let's get these controls out of the way. You know, we're not going to spend a lot of time, as I mentioned, in slides, but just a little overview. We have a little questionnaire here to just prod your thinking. Is your institution transfer friendly, or what we might call transfer hostile or transfer unfriendly? And I think let's go through some of these questions as kind of an institutional self-assessment. First question, do you publish your rules, your articulation rules, so prospective students or even the general public can easily see? So the point here is that you want to expose your agreements, your articulation agreements, to the general public on websites, so that prospective students, they might be high school students, they might be adult students, who've already taken some coursework, maybe at a community college or test credits and so on, and you want them to be able to see, if they enroll at your institution, what will that credit be worth to them? Very important as they're planning their pathway. Do your rules, or how long from the time that you receive a transcript, how long until it is recorded in your student information system? So some of these steps seem very simplistic, but it's amazing as you go around from school to school how much of it. Yes. Oh, was that someone was had a question? How much of the time it can take before a transcript is recorded? So students, and then how long does it take once you receive the transcript? How long until you actually award the credit? And so, and we're talking about the equivalent credit at your institution. And so these delays can sometimes be days, weeks, even months sometimes for these transcripts to be processed. And as we're pointing out in these other questions, the problem is a domino effect. It's not only poor service to the student, it poorly represents your institution, but it has real impacts to the student. So financial aid officers and advisors at your institution cannot serve the student if if they don't know what that transfer credit is going to be worth. Then the last question is here. By the time the student is actually selecting courses at your institution and enrolling in courses, if they don't know what those transfer credits are worth, they don't know fully what degree requirements they need to meet, and they're going to have trouble in some cases meeting prerequisites. So we're just trying to frame the importance of this topic. Again, too much verbiage here to go into, but we're talking about benefits to your institution if you are transfer friendly. There's a recruiting benefit in terms of exposing your rules and agreements out to the public and to prospective students. They can see that you are prepared for them, and so that you appear then to be welcoming to students who bring credits from other schools. Again, you have an application and admissions benefit here. Before the student even steps on your campus, they have the confidence to know that you have received their transcript and you are processing that, and that you understand that they're bringing credit from another school. The credit you give students is accurate and detailed, not a lump sum. A lot of times schools, in an effort to quickly process transfer credit, they don't have the time to go through and make detailed decisions about what the credit is worth. They're just giving the student lump sum, which is better than nothing, but it still doesn't help the student really, and the advisor really plot out what courses they need to take. Anyway, so there are benefits in many ways, helps the student along their entire career path. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on these slides, but we have other documentation, and the importance of transfer credit is very well known. I was reading a document put out in the state of California, where I live in Los Angeles, and this recent report talking about within the state of California, the incredible amount and volume of transfer students and the struggles that they're having, right? Trying to move their credits from a community college to a four-year institution, or even just trying to complete a credential at the community college. And there are many factors for this, right? One of the important factors is the pathway navigation, providing timely and accurate information to students, right, to help them know what they need to do. All right, so with that background, I do want to get into a demo, and just want to briefly, this is our website, smartpandatools.com. Feel free to come here later. We have a lot of videos of everything I'm going to show you today. I'm in the transfer section of our website, and in the last 3 years, we've been creating tools for Campus Solutions that go all at every step along the transfer story. So some of what I'm going to show you today has to do with just getting transcript data into your system. Unless you can bring that data in a timely fashion, the transcript that you're receiving, you cannot then continue to process it. But then step 2 is what we call articulate, and we've also got tools that automate that. So once you get the transcript in your system, step 2 is to actually process and grant that credit. Just a little funny, a funny image here. The current state of step 1, really in step 2, is highly manual. And so that's the gaps that we're trying to fill. And so we're joking about the current state of transfer credit is largely this, what we're calling typing cats, or student workers or staff at your school that are rapidly typing, and they're getting very good at manually entering transcript data, manually processing students. And so here's another one. And so we step into a marketplace in an industry that is largely typified by a lot of keystrokes. And so all we have to do is try to minimize that. Okay, let's get into our tools. Here is I'm going to be working in our demo environment, which is a PeopleSoft demo environment here. And I've created a navigation collection here on the left that allows me to quickly show you these different tools. So let's start with the transcript entry itself. So as we mentioned, the first step in processing transfer credit is to get that transcript into your system. We have a lot of approaches for this, and we'll go through a few of these. One of them that we have is called Transcript Express, and so this is nothing but a manual accelerator. But even that, so let me go ahead and enter my student. To enter a transcript, you have to have at minimum a student ID. It means the person just has to exist in your system, and then you have to have a school that you're going to be that the transcript is coming from. So let's look for Florida State. There we go. So I have a student and I have a school, and so this is Peter Pandicelli, and he is bringing us a transcript from Florida State University. And so, on this page we have highly condensed the data entry experience itself. We don't have time to go into all these fields and what all we've done, but we've defaulted a lot of fields and condensed the page so that if you, worst case scenario, you still have to be that typing cat, rapidly typing, at least we have condensed and we've streamlined that. Schools that use Transcript Express say that we have at least tripled, in some cases quadrupled, just the manual entry experience itself. So I don't want to spend too much time here because I want to show you some of the other automation tools. Raptor is one that we're very excited about. So the scenario here is I have a transcript that I've received for Peter Pandicelli coming from Florida State, and I might have that in a PDF form, I might have that in an imaged form, in some kind of representation. And so what Raptor does, I'm going to click on Raptor here. Raptor is a cloud-based tool. You might experience some lag since I'm on running a video as well, or a conference. Raptor is a cloud-based tool that will ingest PDFs and images of transcripts. So it's a OCR tool. And so I'm just going to grab a transcript and I'm going to process that file. Okay, and so what Raptor does is the brains of Raptor and what differentiate it from other OCR tools on the market is that it has brains. The brain of Raptor is especially tuned to try to figure out what is transcript data, what is coursework. And so you can see on the left here, the red is stuff that Raptor has intelligently rejected, and the green is the good stuff, the courses, the enrollments, the grades. And so we could go at length about how that brain's working, what it's doing. But so you can see we filled this grid here with coursework that we have read off of the transcript, and we're using web services. Then we're going to push this back to PeopleSoft. Okay, so here we see this grid on our Transcript Express page. Again, we're still on Peter from Florida State, and we have loaded from Raptor 15 courses. So again, we're saving our typing cats from having to just sit there manually typing all these courses and grades. We do a lot of things here to streamline the experience. And one of our mottos at SmartPanda, one of the things we try to do with our tools is to follow a philosophy of touch the data only once. Once you've got your hands on a transcript or you've got your hands on some coursework, do the maximum thing you can do with that. So one of the things we have here, even on Transcript Express, is to add course table. So we don't have much time to go into all the details behind this, but if you process transfer credit in PeopleSoft, you know that there's course tables, school course classification tables that contain the coursework of the other schools. And so we are allowing you to populate that on the fly here. I'm just going to click Add All. And we have real time, we have allowed your processor to add all these courses to the course inventory for Florida State. You can see we added all these with one click. And so if you don't process transfer credit, this doesn't necessarily mean a lot to you, but what we've done behind the scenes here saves someone a lot of time, because the next time Biology 100 comes in from Florida State, that course is already there in your external catalog, okay? So in other words, the next time that course comes in, this title is going to default in, the units are going to default in. And so this is just one example of how we're trying to allow you to focus on serving students while everything else is happening in the background. Let's continue processing this student here. So I'm just going to save this. Other things we can do here, push to external education. So with one click, now we moved. So as you saw, we used Raptor to strip the courses off the transcript. And then with one click, I pushed that to external ed. And so now basically I'm done with this transcript. Let's go over and take a look at our external education page. Here we are back at where we started. Let's look at our external education page for Peter. That's our student. So here's what we just did, Florida State, and here is the coursework that we electronically, digitally brought in. A lot of things we've done here. We added a bolt-on page here that is, I think, a more user-friendly display of the coursework. So even here, you're better able to, more quickly able to process the student. So I'm showing you one technique here that we have to rapidly ingest transcript data. Let's look at some of the other ways that other tools that we provide to rapidly process transfer credit. So we do a lot also with EDI. So as I was showing you with Raptor, Raptor is very helpful if you are receiving transcripts by PDF, if you're receiving hard copies that you then image that. If you have an imaging system, Raptor can ingest those documents and rapidly digitize them. But there are other modes by which you may be receiving transcripts. EDI is one of those. So, or nowadays some other formats such as XML. And so again, we want to facilitate that. We find a lot of schools, a surprising number of schools, that do not take advantage of EDI, or if they take advantage of, if they're receiving EDI transcripts, they do not have a way to automatically import those into PeopleSoft. So we have an amazing number of schools that we've talked to that when they receive EDI, they just bring it up on their screen, and they are still the typing cats. Even though they received the EDI, ooh, looks like my cat has stopped. That's not good. I think I might have to reload. So let's go back with an examination of EDI, of our EDI tool. So what is EDI? EDI is a digitized transcript such as this. This is the TS-130 format. You'll also see XML formats or other data layouts, but the point is that you have a digitized stream of data that represents a transcript. Now, as we mentioned, EDI is pretty much underutilized partly because it's very hard to read these documents to the native eye, and because it's difficult to import them into your student system. And so we deliver a import tool for PeopleSoft. And I'm going to show you that tool here. It is run control based, and so this is how simple it is. You need to just tell us where these files, the EDI files, are coming into, what folder they're coming into, and then we will process them. As you can see here on my server here, we set up a shared drive, and there's a sample EDI file sitting there ready to be processed.
So we're going to go ahead and run this process. Now you notice that, again, going back to our point about try to maximize what you're doing with your data. So while we give you options while you're loading that EDI into your system, you may load it only to staging, or you may also push it into external education. You may push it all the way through to course credits automated. You can also build external courses from that. So these are options that you have. Let's go ahead and run this. We're just going to kick that off. It's a fairly small file, so it should run pretty quickly. So let's take a look at the log file of that, just to show you that what it's doing. So it's telling you that we read the incoming file here, and then we examined it. It actually contained multiple transcripts in it, and we found a couple of matches. And so what did it do when it found the matches? It loaded those into a staging table. Looks like this, right? We stripped off the coursework and the grades. I mapped the terms. So that transcript was Sarah Tremaine, EDI received for Long Beach City College. And at the same time, we pushed that through onto external education. I think we did. Did I choose that option? No, I had it loading only to staging. So that was the staging record. And we could have, you can see we stripped off the coursework, and we could have also pushed that all the way to external education, or even created course model, transfer models. And so here we will also strip off any degrees the student might have received. And then this is an HTML representation of the transcript as well. So that's our EDI solution. We don't have a lot of time to go into that. As I mentioned, we can also import XML or other formats. Now, we want to take that one step further into web services. So if you have, and again, we're still on the topic of getting transcripts into your system. So web services is another tool. Now, what we've done with web services is say, look, if you are a PeopleSoft school and you receive a lot of transcripts from another PeopleSoft school, we provide a sender package and a receiver package. We're talking about PeopleSoft code that will allow you to communicate with each other. There's a simple mapping that needs to be set up. It looks something like this. All right, so if you install these web services, these APIs that we can provide to you, and you do the configuration, allow the firewall and all that good stuff, you can directly pull enrollments from one PeopleSoft school to another. And so I'm just going to briefly demonstrate that. I'll show you the self-service version of this, although we also have a batch version of this as well. So you can see here, this is the batch version, which allows you to populate or run control and pull lots of student data across from one school to another. This is a self-service view of it, where you could even allow the student to pull their own credit across. Obviously, it's up to you if you want to deploy this or keep it as an administrative service. We do authenticate so that we're going to make sure that Kimberly Adams in the self-service is actually this student at Long Beach. And so we're going to pull data across from Long Beach City College to Great Lakes University. And this is actually real-time connectivity. This is one of our other PeopleSoft environments, and this is this current PeopleSoft environment. I click transfer now, and that API is reaching across and pulling these enrollments from one PeopleSoft database to another. And again, we can push these all the way onto external education and even create course credit models. So these are some of the tools that we have for automating, digitizing and automating, getting transcripts into your system. Let's look now at, as we're moving ahead in time here for the rest of our session, we want to focus on the other tools, which is the rule maker. And so we're going to focus on the batch mode as well as an individual mode with rule maker. So we're moving into the phase now where we want to talk about awarding credit to that student. I'm going to start by going back to my student Peter so we can pick up on his story. As you recall, earlier in the, now let's do that again because I deleted that data. I'm going to show you, we loaded data onto Peter Pandicelli from Florida State. So I'm just going to reload that data here. I'm going to load that data using Raptor. So we're going to continue this story with Peter. Go out and grab a transcript for Peter. Here. Okay, and process this. Okay, and I'm going to push that into PeopleSoft. Okay, and so there's the courses. Let's push that to external ed. Got it. Now, so this is Peter coming from Florida State. Now let's pick up with the rest of the story, which is determining what credit you're going to give to Peter. And so I want to articulate this to my fall of 2020. I'm going to push the course credits auto. So for Peter now, we have launched a transfer model, as you can see here. Now, so now we're on to the stage of, okay, we know what Peter took. We know what coursework he brought us from Florida State, but what are we going to give him credit for? And this is what we're usually, oftentimes we're looking at as a transfer official, is we see a lot of empty boxes here, right? What are we going to give Peter? This is the delivered page for course credits. And this is a page, a bolt-on page that we've created. We cloned the delivered page and we, as I like to say, we juiced it up. We added a lot of buttons here. So let's briefly review these buttons because you are the clerk now trying to decide what credit should I give Peter. So one of the things we did here is add load history. There's a lot of repetition in transfer credit, and we realized we should let you look in your own rearview mirror. So let's go back and see, maybe there's others. I don't have a rule for French 101, but I may have given credit to a student previously. So you can see there are two other students who I previously gave credit for elementary French. And so if I want to give them just the same thing, give Peter the same thing I gave the other students, I can just say select. And you will see here that we have just copied that forward. So in this way, I can use my own history. If I don't have a rule, I can at least be informed by my own history. We can do the same thing. Well, I won't show you too many more examples of that in the interest of time. But so that's one thing we've done here is the load history feature. Now, the other is build rules. So as I have just decided that I'm going to go ahead and give this credit to Peter, if I save this, and I might say, look, next time I see this, I want a rule to be there. I can create a rule on the fly if I click build rules. So right there, I called RuleMaker real time, and RuleMaker went ahead and built me a rule for French 101. These are hyperlinks here, so I can click this link. I'm going to be able to view the rule that we just created. So we've saved you a lot of work in building all these tables, and we've made this a transaction-based event. So again, you can stay focused on the work you need to do and put the rules in the background. Just going to close some of these other windows here. So again, I can call RuleMaker real time. Now, what else can I do here while I'm on this page? I'm going to go ahead and post this credit. I haven't articulated everything for Peter, but in the interest of time, we're just posting that. And what we also did here is add an AA link. So if you're a transfer official and you're assisting Peter, it's very helpful if you can know where are these credits going to be used toward his degree audit. So if I click this link here, AA, it's now doing three things, and we'll let that happen here. One of the things it's doing is regenerating Peter's degree audit report, because I may want to see on his degree audit, where is that transfer credit being applied? So there's Peter's degree audit. And scrolling down here as the transfer clerk, or as Peter, in fact, you could see where that transfer credit has been applied on his degree audit. Now, the other thing that we have realized is it can be hard to locate transfer credit necessarily on a degree audit, right? So we've provided something called Transfer Tracker, which is for that student, which the blue is all the transfer courses that Peter brought to us. And then over here is where is that being counted? So American Art that Peter transferred in is counting toward these different degree requirements, right? And so you can easily see that. We've also given you a horizontal view of that. This is also the transfer tracker. Again, this is the coursework that Peter brought to us, and we can scroll across and easily see that these courses counted toward the electives, the 120 units. We can also see specifically that the English comp applied toward the writing requirement, and we can see here that the math counted toward the math core. Okay, so that's transfer tracker. Now, everything I've been showing you here with Peter has been transactional based, right? One student at a time. We want to show you RuleMaker batch mode, and we'll finish up our demo with that. So RuleMaker batch mode allows you to make a lot of rules at a time, and so that's for maximum efficiency. I'm going to click a fetch button here at the top. I can narrow this down with additional criteria, but I'm going to go ahead and click fetch. And what it's doing there when I click fetch is looking back for me, look at my historical transfer data that I've already awarded to students and tell me which of those do not have rules. Therefore, they are candidates to have rules created. And so I found these courses. The blue is the incoming, the red is the equivalent, and this is student data, right? So I have student IDs, I have articulation terms and feeder schools here. This came from Long Beach, this came from Florida State. So all I have to do now to make rules is just select the ones that I want. And so let's just select a couple of these. I'm going to say, I want to go ahead and make rules out of these. And I'm just going to do that with a couple of clicks. So I'm going to create the course tables here. So it looks like we didn't need to create any. They already existed. That's these tables here. And then I'm going to create the transfer rules. So my courses already existed, but my transfer rules needed to be built. And you can see I built them with a single click. I populated these tables. So I can click on these and see the rules that I built. There's my biology rule. And obviously, in my demo environment, I've only got a few of these, but in a production environment, you might have hundreds or thousands of these. And so that's the time savings that we're offering you in building your rules. There's also an import mode of RuleMaker, because a lot of schools will have these rules in spreadsheets. Maybe your departments work on them and feed them to you on spreadsheets. And so you can upload your rules using our RuleMaker Excel import utility. So I'm going to go choose an Excel file off my desktop. Okay, here it is here. We are loading these 10 courses or rules. Just going to close this window and refresh my page, and you'll see we imported these. So these are now the rules that I'm going to create. And again, I could have hundreds or thousands of these. And let's go ahead and create a couple of these. I'm just going to change the subject heading to be, let's do ZYES, just something so that you'll see a course being created. I'm going to click save. And again, the rest of the steps are the same. Create school courses. So we just did that. And then create the rules themselves as we just did that. Okay, so again, we're giving you the ability to save a lot of time, by rapidly building transfer rules. I just want to wind up with a quick overview. Again, it's our website, smartpandatools.com, and we spend our time in the transfer section, and I'd encourage you to check out our website and just see these are the schools that are using these tools currently. So we've in the couple of years we've been in business, we've made some progress, but we'd love to hear from you. Come to this page and contact us, reach out to us, and we'd love to talk to you about how we can help you streamline your transfer processing. Okay, thank you for listening.